There's been a lot of conversation since the tragic passing of Mike Leach about the College Football Hall of Fame. The College Football Hall of Fame, as you guys probably know, has had a win percentage requirement for coaches to get in. But they also have coaches that are in that did not meet that requirement. So that never really made sense to begin with. But that win percentage was 60%.
Yeah.
Mike Leach is one game short, literally one game short of that 60% number. And we've had that conversation on this show. They need to figure that out, whether you retroactively have a team forfeit a win just to get it, those kind of things. How do you get him in, or how could you have a Hall of Fame without the godfather of the air raid? Personality aside, the impact on the game of college football and the offenses and the way they're run because of him will be everlasting. How can you not have him in the Hall of Fame? That makes no sense. Turns out the Hall of Fame agrees with that sentiment. They have dropped their win percentage requirement from 60% to 59.5%, clearing the way for when that time. Is it 5 years for college football?
I think it's something like that.
That's the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
I don't know if it is or not. I wouldn't be surprised. I think they'll just go ahead and put him in next year. Put him in next year while it's still as fresh as it can be. I think that's what they're going to end up doing.
So they have lowered the win percentage.
Yeah.
They did not say whether or not it was directly tied to Mike Leach, but sometimes 1 plus 1 equals 2.
We're calling it the Mike Leach rule at this point. I forgot who said the quote. There was a coach who they asked about this, and he was just like, why should winning percentage be a thing at all? Not everybody gets to coach Notre Dame. And I was like, that's a really good point. Sometimes, a great coach starts his career at a school and then he moves, and sometimes it takes a couple years to get off the ground, and that's what happened with Mike Leach throughout his career. But when he got off the ground, he was off and running. And again, I've said this so many times on this show that Hall of Fames are museums, right? They are there to tell a story of whatever it is that they're a museum of. And telling the story of college football post 1995 without Mike Leach is impossible. It's impossible to do. He's too big of a character. His shadow looms over every corner of the game the way it's played currently. Every offense has some variation, outside of maybe Army, some variation of what he did offensively in their playbook. And I think every coach in America would tell you, yeah, I took a little from Mike Leach. So, and then never mind the football, the character, the man is such an interesting and endearing guy. To have a Hall of Fame without Mike Leach made no sense. So I'm glad they made this decision. I was concerned that they would not do it because that these Hall of Fame guys they're sticks in the mud.
Yeah.
They're fuddy-duddies, for lack of a better word, and they don't like to change their rules because they think they are some sort of sacred guardian, and you're not.
No.
You're the guardian of a sport that belongs to the people, not to you. And so I'm glad this has happened, and I look forward to seeing Mike Leach's display the next time we're at the College Football Hall of Fame. Won't be in a couple of months when we're there for SEC Media Days, but the next time we're in Atlanta, hopefully we can go and see that.
The only Guardians I'm concerned about are led by Peter Quill, but maybe that's a conversation.
What about the Cleveland Guardians and Doug Nikhazy?
Nikhazy's cool. I couldn't care less about the rest of them, though.
What about the Guardians on StarCraft when you would turn a Zergling, a Spawn? Never mind. You know what? Never mind.
It's funny though. You mentioned he is both a Hall of Famer and the two separate things. Like, if the football was on its own and he was boring, Hall of Famer.
He's still in.
If he was the character the whole time and didn't necessarily have the impact on the game, he's still probably
a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
would have gotten into broadcasting sooner if the football thing didn't happen as fast.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, all right, that's something he did some in between what Texas Tech and Washington State. He did a little bit of that. In that time frame, I don't know that the world was as accepting of announcers going off script as they are now. Like Mike Leach now would be a treasure. And I'll be really honest with you. If he were still around, and let's say that his last couple years at State, he decides he's going to start winding it down. Mike Leach taking over for Lee Corso
would have been perfect.
I mean, it's built for the role.
You'd have had to find a way to dial him not down a little bit, but like
dial him in,
but shorten him is what you would have needed to have done.
You got to be like, Coach, we got you got 2 minutes.
Yeah,
get it out. But I think he would have been really good at it.
I remember